It's tier ranking time. Every year, I like to do a big tier ranking video of all the books I read in the previous year. So what we're sitting down today is to talk about all of the books I read in 2025. I have put together a little tier list. We're gonna sort each of the books into its appropriate tier. Every year I like to switch it up, how I'm gonna do this, what the tiers are. I'll introduce you to my tiers for this year. At the very bottom, we have No Thanks with a kiss. So just know that no thanks is respectful because there's a kiss there. These are the books that I won't read again, I won't think of fondly, and that I would happily kind of give away to probably strangers because I wouldn't want to afflict them on my friends and family. That's where we have our no thanks. That's kind of like the main negative tier we have. I don't usually have too many really negative experiences. Next, we have met expectations. I got what I asked for. I went into it expecting something and I got exactly what I expected. This is in no way like a bad thing. I just find it completely middle of the road, exactly what I was expecting. If I'm expecting good things and it is good, it'll end up in there. But also if I was expecting bad things and I didn't like the book, it'll also end up in there. So that's gonna be a mixed bag of a tier, but I think it's mostly going to be positive experiences. Next, I rated this too highly. The books that will end up in here are kind of I got swept up in finishing this book. In the heat of the moment, I rated it highly, and then on reflection, don't like it as much as what I originally gave it. That's kind of the idea. I was giving out 5 stars like nobody's business last January. I feel like I was just so excited to read that I was like, hell yeah, I had a nice experience. I'm gonna give that 5 stars. It didn't matter if I actually thought it was 5 stars. I was just so high on reading that I was giving everything 5 stars. Those are the ones that I think will end up in the I rated this too highly. Next, we have I Love. These are books that I would say are like 4 stars up to 5 star. Like it's 4 to 4.99. Like I loved these books, but they didn't make my 5 star. There might be 1 or 2 books that I rated too highly that end up in I Love because maybe I gave it 5 stars, but it was actually a 4.75. I don't think that's too big of a difference that it needs to be bumped all the way down to I rated this too highly. Next, we have actual 5 stars. I rated a lot of books 5 stars this year, and we will get into that in my stats section at the end of the video. These are going to be my actual 5 stars. Something fun I'm doing this year specifically is the top tier is going to book of the year. I am only putting 1 book in that tier. Anything that's kind of in the running for that book of the year will go into the actual 5 stars tier. Those are our tiers. Let's get into ranking. Make sure I start screen recording first. That would be absolutely tragic. So I think we're good to go. You can see all of the books around the bottom. I'm sure you know how a tier list goes. There's 5 billion of them on YouTube, and I love to watch people tier list things, even the stupidest things. There are 41 books to be tier listed. Therefore, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about each one. I'm just gonna give you what I liked, didn't like, etc. We're gonna keep it snappy enough, but still have a bit of fun. Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I'm gonna put this in I Love. I don't think it was necessarily 5 stars. It isn't my favorite Ali Hazelwood. It's slightly more like raunchy or kinky, I suppose, than her other novels. That didn't bother me at all. I really liked the relationship. I liked the sports side of it. I adore swimming, so I like to read about a swimmer and a diver. I thought that was really fun. Altogether, it was a really good vibe. I really, really loved that book, but I don't think it was actually a full 5 stars. Fellowship of the Ring is in the actual 5 stars tier. So I read Fellowship of the Ring for the first time ever last January, and spoiler alert, I've already read the 2nd book. I read it this month. I am really enjoying this series. I was super shocked by how much I enjoy it. It has gone so far beyond my expectations. I've just gotten really into it. I find the lore obviously super interesting. The fan family vibes are incredible. Also like the dark and spooky elements of Tolkien's writing. Some of the most shocking parts is how dark some of it can get, and then the themes that come through there of brotherhood and There was quotes I loved. I'll stick the quote that I really loved up on the screen that feels really real for what we're living through at the moment in the world, even though it was written in the 1950s, I think. Just a fantastic book and series, and if you're one of the 3 people in the world who like fantasy who haven't read it, I think you should get on that, like I am. Next we have Onyx Storm, and I'm putting that into I rated this too highly. I feel like I could nearly rewrite this tier the Onyx Storm tier, purely because I always get a bit swept up in the fourth wing of it all. I tend to rate it highly enough straight off the back of reading it, but then time passes and I really do change my mind every single time. Once a month or 2 has passed, I tend to go back and go, you know what? I feel like that was peer pressure that you gave that 5-star. Because Onyx Storm wasn't a 5-star. I cheated a little and I had a little peek at my store graph this morning because I knew I would be making this video and discussing my stats with you guys. When I looked at it, I was like, no way did I give Onyx Storm 5 stars. That's not how I feel now. I actually went back in and I gave it 4 stars instead. Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I'm gonna pick the whole series from the collection here because I feel like there's no point in doing them separately. But Once Upon a Broken Heart is the first book in this series, and I'm gonna put that into I Love because I adored that book. It got me absolutely hooked on the series. And like that, I would say it's a 4.75 to a 5. Like it's somewhere in there in a tiny decimal difference. Ballad of Never After, however, is the actual 5-star standout book of that series, in my opinion. I loved that book so much that I needed the next one instantly. I went straight to the shop once I finished that one and bought the 3rd one because I needed to know what would happen and how our story would conclude. I really enjoyed it. I really love how everything came together at the end. This series has such a lovely place in my heart, and last year was brightened so much by this series, and I really do recommend it. And I also recommend Caraval, but that one has a bit more of a divide with people. I quite enjoyed that, and I really like Stephanie Garber's writing. Next we have This Is the Notable Shadowhunters and Denizens of the Downworld. Straight into met expectations. So that is the Cassandra Clare Kickstarter book. It was basically a reprint, an updated print of a previously printed book. I have a whole video dedicated to the 4 Kickstarter books if you're interested, so that'll be linked somewhere. Basically, I got what I asked for. It's a glorified fact file. That's the kind of piece that I enjoy having on my shelf. Cassandra Clare's super fan, would love to have this book on their shelf, and that's exactly what I wanted. Next we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I'm going to say that I rated this too highly. Over time, it hasn't aged well in my memory. I care a lot less for it than I did once I finished it. I just don't care that much now. A year on, I read it this time last year. I also don't love it the same way I love the other books in the I Love category. So I'm just gonna put it in I rate this too highly and kind of move on. But like, I liked it. I almost forgot that I even read it last year. I think I rated it a bit too highly. I think this is another example of my generous ratings in January. Next we have Better in Black, and I'm going to put that in I Love. So Better in Black is our collection of short stories from Cassandra Clare, also from that Kickstarter. Actually, I should probably do all the Kickstarter ones together, so I'll do that now in a sec. I really adored this book because it was a set of short stories following all of our couples, or a load of our couples, from the Shadowhunters universe. And this is kind of like my dream novella set because I love these characters and I loved revisiting them. I really enjoyed it and I really loved that one. The other one was Careful of Books. Oh, this was the novellas, that was the short stories. And this is actually hard. I was very surprised with what arrived, what I was expecting at all, but I did really like it. I'll put it in I Love because I did not expect what came. In case you didn't know, the 4 novellas are not Shadowhunter novellas. Only one of them is. It was still really good. There was a Sherlock Holmes fan fiction that I really enjoyed. There was a Wendy Darling screenplay, and there was also a sneak peek at Cassandra Clare's next YA series. So that was all very interesting. So I think I'll put that in I Love. Next is Bloodmarked, and anyone who knows anything knows that is an actual 5-star. barely need to say anything about that. I love the Legendborn series. I think it is one of the best YA series to come out in the last 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. It's just so good. I'm going to take Oathbound and I'm going to put that in I love as well. Or should I put in 5 stars? I'll put that in 5 stars too. It took a bit of deliberation. It was on the cusp because it was actually really different than both Bloodmarked and Legendborn. First off, it was the first time there was POV change, so I was not expecting that at all. How much can I say without spoiling Bloodmarked? Never mind Legendborn. Not that much, but just know that this series is golden and you should read it, and read it now. I love it and I cannot wait for the next book and potentially the next book. I think there's supposed to be 5. I don't know if there was originally going to be 5 or if the series got extended from like popularity or demand, or even if the author realized, hey, there's more story to tell. Oathbound specifically felt like a transitional book, and I'll kind of leave it there. But I love this series, read this series. Next, we have Cassandra Clare, Swordcatcher, and Ragpicker King's right beside it, so I can talk about them both. Swordcatcher is actual 5 stars. I love Swordcatcher. Would talk about it forever if I could. I feel like I really connected with the world this year. I kind of found my footing in there, and while I was rereading it, I was putting together a bingo card for Ragpicker King, which was the second book. That's why I reread the first one. Ragpicker King is going into Book of the Year. I don't think it's that surprising that Cassandra Clare got Book of the Year in this household. I personally feel like it has everything you could want from a fantasy book with romantic like subplot going on. Plot twists, thought I was being clever and then there's another plot twist. That's another series I highly recommend to everyone. Consider Me is our first no thank you. It's a hockey romance and it is 500 pages long. I think that's nearly all I have to say about it. I don't want to read any more hockey romance. I'm okay for the foreseeable, please and thank you. I didn't love Consider Me and I am not going to continue with it. Next we have The Office of Historical Corrections, which was an actual 5 star. It was a set of short stories which is all centered around the intersection between race, grief, and gender, and I just adored it. I loved all the short stories. I've definitely spoken about it on here before. Yeah, just read it. It's a collection of short stories that I think everyone should read and everyone should love. Next, we have The Crimson Moth, which I'm going to put into Met Expectations. It was good. I expected it to be good. Wasn't great, didn't expect it to be great, wasn't awful, didn't expect it to be awful. So it was exactly where I thought it would be. I enjoyed my time. It was a witch book, which was new for me, and I like reading new types of fantasy. It is also, I think, YA, but there's like slight intimate scenes, but nothing graphic. So I think it's YA, but I'm not fully certain. Next, we have Daisy Hates. I'll put that also into Met Expectations. I think if you've read Magnolia Parks, reading Daisy Hates feels very much the same. Obviously written by the same author. They overlap, and actually Magnolia Parks is obviously Magnolia and her story, whatever. Then Daisy Hates, obviously from Daisy's point of view, but it's the same timeline, which I didn't realize going into it. And I was like, wait a minute, this moment, I remember this moment from the other point of view, and it finally clicked that this is at the same time. It was, again, exactly what I expected. There's very underlinable quotes in there that I'm sure you've probably seen even out of context on Pinterest probably. Next we have The Dollargood Dream Department Store, and I'm putting that in I love. I already have the second book, really liked it. It went beyond my expectations. I did not expect to like it as much as I did, especially such a short book, but it was whimsical in the best way. It was emotional when it needed to be, and I just really loved it. Next, we have Take a Hint, Dani Brown, and I'm putting that in actual 5 stars. It's a great book. It's a really good romance. So this is a set of interconnected standalones. Take a Hint, Dani Brown is the second book. I really like this series. I love the Brown sisters. The energy between them is so funny and so lovely. And then the romantic interests in these books are always like the most green flag men you could ever think of. Also, something I quite like is that like they're not teenagers. The characters aren't teenagers. They're grown women with careers and aspirations, and I quite like that too. So if you're looking for a really good romance, I really recommend this series. Next we have Daydream, and that's going into Met Expectations. It was another hockey romance, but I enjoyed it a lot more than Consider Me. I don't know if there's more coming out in this series. It's the Icebreaker series. I think the author has gotten really into diving into who the characters are and putting herself very much into these characters. Next we have A Deadly Education, which I'm putting into I Love. This was another one I was so pleasantly surprised by. It's like weirdly funny, and it also was almost pure exposition. I think maybe 20% plot, 80% exposition, as if everything was just being explained to you by the main character. So if that is something that would annoy you, really don't read that book. It's not for you. I found it charming. I was quite charmed by it. I look forward to keep going with that series. As I started reading it, I was like, this was not at all what I expected this to be like, and I did not think the character would be like this. Next we have Electra, and I'm putting her in No Thanks. I would almost put that in Met Expectations, but I disliked it enough to not. But I also kind of knew that I was gonna dislike it because I didn't like Jennifer Saint's last book that I read. It was Ariadne. So I don't really know why I thought I would like Electra. Next we have First by Ali Hazelwood. I'll also do Hot for Slayer because they're both her like really short stories. So First can go into Met Expectations. Kind of is what I've come to expect from Ali Hazelwood. It's part of her Kickstarter, so I don't know if you can get it now. It was okay. It's Omegaverse, so I also kind of expected it from Ali Hazelwood. And Hot for Slayer, I really enjoyed. I was also not expecting to like it as much as I did. It's a short story, like really short. If you're falling behind on your reading goal come October, I recommend picking that up. I think it's like a Kindle exclusive. That's where you can read it. Next we have Great Big Beautiful Life. I would say this met expectations, but in a really positive way. It was the new Emily Henry book. Other people disagree with me and they say it was weird and completely not like Emily Henry's other books. And I will say it was different a little bit, but it still had all the goodness of an Emily Henry book. And kind of related, I'm also gonna put Happy Place in there, and I think people will be really mad about that. But again, it's in Met Expectations. I've such high expectations of Emily Henry. To get out of that Met Expectations, it would be very difficult. I don't think these two books were my favorites. My favorites right now are People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers. These two don't quite make it into I Love, but I did quite like them. Next, we have Catabasis, and I'm going to put that into actual 5-star. I had such a good time with this book when it came out. I'm pretty sure I did a reading vlog on it. I really enjoyed the logic parts of it, the mythological parts of it, but also the messaging with the main character. I really liked how it ended. There was a little hiccup inside the plot that I didn't love the choices of the author, but like everything else I just adored, and I really liked that book. I had a great time reading it. Next, The Love Hypothesis gets to go up beside it because I love The Love Hypothesis. I got super excited this year about the movie, so I wanted to reread it, and I had a great time. There's not much else to say on that. Next, we have A Darker Shade of Magic. I don't quite love it, so I'd say it met expectations. I thought it was good. I was expecting it to be pretty good because V.E. Schwab is so famous. I've not read any other V.E. Schwab books before, so I wanted to dip my toe in with A Darker Shade of Magic. It felt like a 2015 fantasy novel, and then I checked when it came out, and I'm pretty sure it was around 2015. I enjoyed it, and I do want to continue that series. Malibu Rising, I love. It was very tabloid magazine-y with the extended Taylor Jenkins Reid universe, reading about these characters behaving badly and keeping secrets from each other. I loved it, and I think that kind of book, especially Taylor Jenkins Reid, is so interesting because there's so much gossip to get up to date with. I think Taylor Jenkins Reid pulls it off really, really well in the way she writes these characters to be both rich and untouchable, but also like humans. Next, we have Mate, and I'm gonna put that also in I Love. Ali Hazelwood, she wrote Up a Storm last year, and I loved like all of them. Mate is the second book, the kind of connected book to Bride, which was her other paranormal romance, and she just spat out a second one, and I was not expecting it at all. I didn't even know it was coming out for a while. I loved it. Of course I did. Was it a plot masterpiece? No. All the Ali Hazelwood vibes were there, so fantastic. Things We Never Got Over, I'm putting that in Met Expectations. It's exactly what I thought it would be from a romance book. I got the second book as well. I don't think I'll read it anytime soon, maybe summer. Look at the cover, and what do you think it's about? That's exactly what it's about. I did think it was slightly too long, because again, it's a romance book that's over 500 pages. That doesn't need to be done, but it was still a good read, and I'll read the next one. And hopefully the third one. Next, The Priory of the Orange Tree, which was an actual 5 stars. Yes, indeed it was. I loved that book. I took my time with it, and I highly, highly recommend it. Next, we have Phantasma, which I've already given out about on this channel, and I'm putting that in no thanks. And if you're curious why, scroll through the channel, and I'm sure it's in a thumbnail somewhere, and I'll tell you all about it. I just didn't like it. It did not live up to my expectations whatsoever. Next, I think Powerful. Met expectations, because actually, yeah, while I'm here, I'm putting them both in there. Because at this point in the Powerless series, I think I've just kind of given in. I'm kind of like Stockholm Syndromed in here into reading this series. I have the final book and I'll just read it. Not a super crazy fan of the series anymore. Like, I really liked the first book, but from there I think the author kind of lost her way a little bit. Powerful did make me emotional at the end. They meet expectations. You kind of go in knowing what you're getting with the Powerless series. Next, The Prisoner's Throne. I'll also put this in Met Expectations. I know what to expect when it comes to Holly Black, and I quite liked it. It didn't let me down, which I was thankful for. I enjoyed seeing Oak all grown up. I feel like there was definitely a plot twist that got me, but other than that, I can't really remember too much about it, but I know I liked it. That's a good one. Next, we have A Problematic Summer Romance, also going into the I Love category. Another Ali Hazelwood banger from the year. I pretty much love everything she releases ever. It was really enjoyable. I read it during the summer. I really recommend. It was also kind of a sequel to Not in Love, which was another obviously book that I really enjoyed last year. Next, we have Siege and Storm. I'll say that met expectations. Wasn't like the best book I've ever read, but it's from a very popular author and popular series, and it met my expectations. And finally, we have Sunrise on the Reaping, which I will put into I Love. This was Haymitch's story. It was devastating, also kind of what you expect from Suzanne Collins when she comes out with a new Hunger Games book. It was very fast paced, and I'm really excited for the movie. All of that being said, it just doesn't feel like a 5-star anymore. It feels again like a 4.75. Super good, and I think Hunger Games fans will adore that. There's my tier list. Looks pretty fair. I'm going to jump in now with my end of year stats. So let me open up Storygraph. I read 41 books and 17,316 pages. I read 42 books in 2024, but less pages. So clearly I was reading a few bigger books. I hit my reading goal. My top genres were fantasy, romance, and then YA, a bit of contemporary, and finally a bit of literary. Realistically, we kind of knew this. Usually fantasy and romance are fighting for first place, but clearly fantasy won last year. The average length of the books I read was 421 pages, which I think is pretty good. Kind of dragged up by how long Priory of the Orange Tree is, but that's okay, and it took me around 8 days to finish a book. The authors I spent the most time with, Ali Hazelwood came in first, with Cassandra Clare hot on her heels, and then finally Stephanie Garber coming up the rear. Ali Hazelwood usually is one of my most read authors because she releases so many books every year, so that's kind of why that happened there. And my average rating was 4.32. September was my best rating month, and then I think June wasn't. You can see that average was 3.5. April was the most pages read. I tried out 11 new authors, which I think is pretty good. My 7 of the books you read were part of a series. I do love a series. I didn't DNF. I don't generally DNF anything, so that makes a lot of sense. You read 15 books from your own shelves this year. There were more. Storygraph has a feature where you can mark a book owned or not, and I don't tend to mark it I'm never really bothered. So it was a really successful reading year. I'm super happy with all the books I read. Thank you for watching. Get ready for more videos this year, more reading. I'm excited for a good year of reading. If you like this video, here's another one that YouTube recommends for you, and I will see you next time.